Okay, so in this video we will talk about book streaming on Android-based e-readers. What I mean with book streaming is services that you can either listen to audiobooks or reading ebooks. And in this video we will concentrate on ebook reading on these book streaming services. Here we have two Android-based ebook readers. This one is the Onyx Books Palma, and it runs Android, but it uses e-ink display. And here we have Bigme B751C, a colored e-reader using a Kaleido 3 screen, but it runs on Android. So, as you see here, I have one book in sync here on both devices from a book streaming service. In this case, it's BookBeat. So here I have the book open in BookBeat. So BookBeat has, as you see here, a lot of different books. You can choose books from English books or Swedish books or whatever. It has many different languages to choose from, but I have Swedish books mainly and also some English books. So if I want to listen to a book, I can use that, but I never do that on Android-based e-readers. I use my iPhone to listen to books if I want. But in this case, we should read. And as you see here, this symbol means that you can sync the listening and the reading using BookBeat. So if I read for a while, then I can switch to listening, and then I can continue listening where I left off reading, and the other way around. So the syncing means, that symbol means syncing between reading and listening. So if I want to read this book now, I click read. Then it opens where I left off, 7% into the book. And as you can see, it's some ghosting from the menu I had open in BookBeat. So if I hold this for a few seconds, I can clean up so I don't have any ghosting whatsoever. So now we have this book. I can go back in the book by clicking on the left side. I can go forward in the book by clicking right side. That works awesome in BookBeat. I can also swipe if I want, so I can swipe to go forward in the book, and I can also swipe to go back in the book. That also works great in the BookBeat app when reading. One drawback with BookBeat is that they don't have so much information as you see. I can only see % of the book reading. Some users think that's enough, but to me, I want to see how many pages left in the chapter, for example. And also, if that was possible, I would also see how many hours and minutes left of the book when reading. But I can't do that in BookBeat. This is what you see in BookBeat. And also the customizations of the reading is quite bad in BookBeat. As you see, you can choose light, dark or sepia color. You can also change the font in 3 different ways only: standard, serif or sans serif. And here you can have the size of the font. Lower the size or raise the size. So that is what you can do with the BookBeat app. But you can also, of course, do bookmarks like this. You can also type a note for every bookmark if you want. That is quite good in BookBeat. Another thing that's great in BookBeat is that you can send quotes to other apps installed on your device. So if I want to have this stored somewhere else, like this, then you see here I got a share menu, so I can choose share, and then I can, for example, store that in Google Keep, like clicking there and save. So now I have stored that sentence or quote or whatsoever in Google Keep. That's a nifty feature using the BookBeat app. And the same thing with that you can use dictionary, by clicking dictionary there. Then you need to have different dictionaries installed on your Onyx Books Palma. You can also choose to have a web search if you prefer. That's great. So all in all, the reading experience in BookBeat works quite good actually, because it works fast. And if you look up here in the e-ink center on Onyx Books Palma, you see that I use HD because I want to have as crisp and sharp text as possible. You can choose even faster modes, balanced, fast, ultra fast, and so on. But I use HD because I think that is the perfect quality for reading books that uses only text, as in this case. So, all in all, BookBeat works great on the Onyx Books Palma. On the... Let's go out of here and do this. On the BigMe then, we have buttons, we have a larger display, we have a gyro that makes it possible to have the device in different ways. So if I go back here now, so we can sync the book where I left off, I can now read by clicking read. As you see here now, it wants to sync where I left off. So I do that now. So now I have synced where I left off on the Onyx Books Palma. Here we see that I have quite large text. I like to have large text. On the BigMe 751C, it's the same features as on Onyx Books Palma, no difference there. You see no more info or anything. But it would be cool if some of the book streaming apps supported the buttons. The same with Onyx Books Palma, the volume buttons there. As you see, it would be nice. But no of the book streaming service I have tried supports those buttons. So I can't go back and forward in the book whatsoever, and that's really bad, especially on the BigMe because it's so big and have this edge here, so that's not good at all. On this one it works great because I can click easily and swipe easily, but on this is a bit harder to swipe and so on because it's bigger and takes some time, as you see there, to do the swiping. You can also click, of course. It's a bit slow with the high quality setting I have, but you can't use the buttons, unfortunately. That's bad. Another thing it's really bad with the BigMe is that the gyro accelerometer, or what it's called, I don't know, that makes it possible to have the device in different ways when reading. So for example like this, but you can't use that in any book streaming app because the book streaming apps I have tried doesn't support that so good. You can do that, but it's very, very slow and sometimes it doesn't work, and actually it's very, very bad implemented on a BigMe, or if it's the apps, I don't know, but it doesn't work so good. So I have it locked in this position all the time because of that when reading. So if I want to use my left hand, I have it like this and do the swiping, as you see. And when reading with the right hand, I hold it like this and do the clicking. So that is a very bad thing with the BigMe, that you can't use any of these buttons in any of the book streaming apps. That's unfortunate. So if we now go out of the BookBeat app is quite good on Android-based e-readers, one of the greatest actually. So now we go to the best of them at the moment, and that is Storytel. So now if I open Storytel, We have all the different books we have here too. As you see, a lot of blinking and so on. I don't like that because what can I say? It's very much on their homepage to look at, if you know what I mean. So if I go to my library, we have different books here, as you see, and I can open different books to read them if I want. So for example, we can have this book. I open that book. Here we have that book open. We can read about it down below, what it's about and so on. We can also choose to listen or read it. And on Storytel, it should work in sync on most of the books. Unfortunately, they don't tell if it doesn't work when syncing between reading and listening. So you can see that with a symbol or something. Unfortunate. But if I click read here, we open this book for the first time. We have the cover, as you see, beautifully in color on the Big Me. I can now go in forward in the book by clicking, as you see here. We jump forward a bit to the first chapter like this. Here we have, as you see, it looks gorgeous in the quality. Works really great by clicking back and forward, as you see. Works great. It also works great when swiping. A bit slow maybe, but it works, as you see. Works quite good when swiping too. Clicking works better. Unfortunately, you can't use the buttons in Storytel either, no matter what setting I have on the Big Me or the Onyx Books Palma. It doesn't work, sadly so. And the same with the gyro. It's terrible, so I have it locked in this position. One huge benefit with Storytel is that you can see how many pages left in the chapter. I love that. I wish BookBeat had that. So hopefully BookBeat can add that too to their app. And we have the percent of the book there and also which chapter, so that's nice. One thing I forget about BookBeat was that you can also see the chapter at the top, what the name of the chapter is. Here in Storytel you have it at the bottom. So one other thing is that Storytel is quite great to have when you have some customizations. You have different color themes. I should never use any other than white because this is an ink device, but these color schemes are for smartphones mainly. You have different fonts. I love that. So you have a lot of different fonts to try out. That's great. We also have the size of the font and line height down here. So I have at the smallest line height, and it still is quite big, as you see, unfortunate. So you need to have it at the smallest almost all the time, as you see here. And of course you can do bookmarks and so on. One bad thing with Storytel is that you can't do as you did with BookBeat, as I show you. You can't store any information from Storytel because you don't have share in the menu. So that's quite bad. You don't even have a dictionary or anything. That's a huge drawback for Storytel. So if you prefer having all those features, then BookBeat is much better than Storytel. So the reading display of the book is maybe better than in BookBeat, and you have also a bit more information from the book you're reading. That's a huge plus for Storytel. When it comes to different books, then you have a lot to choose from in Storytel. I think both BookBeat and Storytel has over 1 million different books to choose from. So you have plenty of books. What Storytel has more than BookBeat is their own books, only on Storytel, as you see here. So these books are only available on Storytel. Some say that's bad and some other says it's good for Storytel, but personally I think that's bad because some of the books I need to have a Storytel account to read, of course, because it's only Storytel. So if I would love to use BookBeat instead of Storytel, then I need to have a Storytel account sometimes because some of the books is only available on Storytel. But most of the books are available also on BookBeat. So that was quite fast about Storytel, but Storytel has more information, nicer fonts, nicer customization options, maybe a bit faster when reading and so on. It works the same on the Onyx Books Palma. If you want to see that too, we can see that. We go out from BookBeat and then we open Storytel down here. Here we have Storytel. So if I open that same book I opened on the Big Me, it should be where I left off, like this. As you see, now I have opened that book I had on Big Me Storytel in Storytel on my Onyx Books Palma. And as you see here down below we have chapters and all the information same on the Big Me. And this is how good it looks on the Onyx Books Palma. As you see, it works great and really fast when changing pages. It looks great when reading. The font is nice. Everything looks actually quite perfect on the Onyx Books Palma in Storytel. So the only drawback is that you don't have a dictionary, you don't have any way to store information, quotes or sentences you need to store or you want to store in another app. You can't do that in Storytel. So that is the only drawback actually to running Storytel on your Onyx Books Palma or your Big Me. So that was Storytel. The last book streaming service I have tried is called Nextory. As you see there, Nextory. We have Nextory here. Their homepage is more beautiful, I think, because it doesn't flashes and so on as the other two services do when reading this on an e-ink reader. So it looks nice like this, I think. So here I can, for example, open this book and read it. And as you see, it looks gorgeous with this font too. But one drawback with Nextory is that it has quite large margins when reading. And that's quite bad on Onyx Books Palma, I think, because I would have smaller margins because this display is not as wide as you see. So that's a bit of a drawback. The information then is that you have a page and percent when reading. That could be quite good too. We have some different feature like bookmarking like this, quite easy, and then you see a bookmark there. You can change fonts, of course. You have quite many fonts to choose from. Very nice customization features, as you see here. You have color, you have the size of the text, you have how wide it should be, and as you see, you only have three ways of choosing that, and I always choose the widest, but still it's too large of margins, I think. So that is a bit of a drawback with using Nextory. You can in Nextory also store content like this and share it exactly as you did in BookBeat using, for example, Keep, Google Keep. You can do the same, and also you can use different dictionaries and so on in Nextory. So that's great. So all in all, the same features as BookBeat. One huge difference with BookBeat is that you have a page number too. That doesn't BookBeat have. But BookBeat has better margins. But Nextory has a better font selection. So the font selection is much better in Nextory. You can't sync books between reading or listening in Nextory, unfortunate. It doesn't work. So if we go here, we can see that the book is available in listening as an audiobook or reading as an ebook. But if I read it as an ebook, it doesn't sync where I left off when clicking listening. And that is a huge drawback for Nextory, sadly. So of these three, Nextory is the worst of them, if you know what I mean. Nextory is great, but it's worst of these three services because of it doesn't sync between the reading progress. So that is bad. It syncs between the devices, of course. So if I open Nextory on the Big Me, if we go out of here and choose Nextory instead, we have Nextory down here. We should have that book available down here, so I can continue that like this. I can now continue reading where I left off on the Onyx Books Palma, so that syncing works great. But as I said, if I want to sync between where I listening and where I reading, then it doesn't work. And that is not the greatest of Nextory, sadly so. But Nextory has also less selection of books than BookBeat and Storytel. So maybe still Storytel and BookBeat is the way to go if you want to have a huge collection of books to choose from. But also another thing is that Nextory is actually a bit more expensive than the other two, but you get 30 hours of listening or reading then. So it's a bit more expensive, but you get 10 more hours of listening at the smallest subscription plan than on BookBeat and Storytel. BookBeat and Storytel has 20 hours at the smallest subscription, and Nextory has 30 hours on the smallest. But when it comes to unlimited, Nextory is cheaper actually if you want unlimited listening or reading than the other two. So if that is a must, you should use Nextory, because then you have totally unlimited listening time. BookBeat and Storytel has one option called Premium, and that is 100 hours every month. And to me, 100 hours is enough. Yes, I read a lot, but 100 hours I think is more than enough for me, because I only read and listening a while in these book streaming services. Otherwise, I read also books from the library and books I bought from Bokus.com, for example. So a combination of this, I think 100 hours in Storytel and BookBeat is enough. So all in all, I think Storytel and BookBeat are the best ones. And I would definitely decide to choose BookBeat if they could add more information at the bottom here. So if we could have how many pages left in the chapters here, and maybe also hours and minutes, then I would definitely continue using BookBeat and not Storytel and Nextory, because then BookBeat had everything I needed. So now we have gone through all these book streaming services. I think it's quite good to have one of them, but they are a lot of money you put on these services, so they are quite expensive in the long run. But for example, keep one of them and have the other when you need them is one option, because often you get some offers and very cheap offers from different services. You can have them for a while when you have a book in for example Storytel that you can't read in BookBeat. You can do that. So quite long video, but 3 different book streaming service on Android based e-ink readers. Okay, bye.